Hey, how are you doing? Welcome back to my channel. For those who are new, karibu sana. My name is Purity Mwenda, and we usually talk about academic writing. Once in a while we do issues to do with life and discuss life experience and explore different things. But for today's video, I'm going to talk about new writers who are wondering if they should actually buy an account or write for an employer. So I'm here to give you the both sides, and let's discuss. Let's look at this from a new writer's perspective, or from a writer who has just learned how to write and they want to help themselves. Let's help them. We were also there one day, and it's good to help people make the right decision. So before we start our video, kindly consider subscribing, turn on the notification bell, which is just right next to the subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up in case you like this video, and do not forget to share and comment on the comment section. So I know once in a while people hear about academic writing, and it's like academic writing is nice, it's simple, it's easy, it's better than being employed. All those things are actually true, but easy? No, it's not easy. It's work like any other, it's job like any other. And so when you start saying it's easy, you start undermining it, you start giving it less attention as you give to other work. But academic writing is actually work like any other. It needs people's attention, it needs your attention as a writer, because that's your company. So let's assume you've just been trained, you've got some skills, you've written for, let's say, for 1 month, let's say for 2-3 weeks, a month, like at maximum, or even 2-3 months, and you're here, you're a writer. I know most people start getting that vision of, I want to have an account. They actually pays well, because actually those information about how good accounts pays, they can make you go crazy. Because myself, I was there one day, I was like, I wish I could actually have an account. I wish when I know how to write, I'll go buy an account, I'll write, I'll become rich. But I was advised, and this is what I want to tell you, exactly what I was told. I was told it's nice to start with someone's account, not necessarily someone's account. It's nice to start with an employer, because with an employer you get the opportunity to build yourself, and at the end of the day you'll be able to manage your own account. So here is the advantages or reasons why you should start with an employer as a new writer, as opposed to going straight to buying your. Working with an employer is advantageous because it gives you a chance to grow. As you know, writing is progressive. You cannot just understand everything at the same time. It's just like at workplace. When you're employed for the first time, you have to learn. You keep on learning new skills, you keep on learning new capabilities. So in writing is also the same. So when you start writing, you start growing, you start understanding new things, the do's and don'ts, through the guide of your employer. So because the employer usually have this role of ensuring that they go through the paper that the writers do before they send them to the client. So they have that time, they have the responsibility of, they help you to identify the mistakes, to identify any grammar issues, to correct you where you need to change the formatting. They help you to build your writing skills and to polish them. So when you don't consider writing with an employer, and you maybe decide to go and buy an account, you take all those mistakes, which sometimes cannot be seen by you as a writer, and take them to the account. So when you start writing directly to the client, so in case you have issues with pronunciation, in case you have issues with structuring your sentences, in case you have issues with structuring your paragraph, how to ident, how to format the paper. So you take all those issues to the client, and so what will happen? Definitely the client will complain. You will have a lot of revisions, you will have issues with the quality of your paper, the support will be all over on you, and sometimes those fines can be so much and can actually end to closure of your account. So in my opinion, it's good to first start with an employer, because they will help you, they will guide you through the entire time. It's good. All it takes is for you to be patient and be ready to be corrected. Okay. Another thing is that, as we have said, it has low risks as compared to account. You know, account, it's not just having an account. Having an account means you need to keep on bidding. You need to keep on bidding. You need to be the one, the writer. If you're writing for yourself, you're the writer and the editor at the same time. And sometimes, you know, it's hard to see mistakes that you've made yourself. Okay, so when another person does that, when another person edits your work and goes through it and identify the corrections, it's easier for you to see them as opposed to you seeing them yourself. Okay, so the importance of having an employer is that they help you in prepare in editing. As the time goes by, you learn how to edit. As the time goes by, you learn what the clients want based on the kind of papers you've been doing. You can learn based on the revisions. You can learn what the clients expect, what different accounts expect, what the expectation and requirements. Okay, with the help of an employer, you can actually master your skills and at the end of the day feel ready to handle an account maybe after an year. Like in my case, I actually wrote for some time, not because I wanted to. I wrote, like, the first time I had an account was about how many? That was after like 6 months. Yeah, I wrote for about 6 months under an employer, and after 6 months I had an account. It was just a lenient account, so it was easy for me to follow through. It was easy for me to edit the paper and ensure that they are in the right way. So my advice is, please, new writers, don't rush to buying accounts, because you might end up losing your money. Yeah, you might risk losing your money unless you feel you're really okay with editing, writing, and presentation, structuring, and the likes. It's okay, you can go ahead and buy. But for my case, I think it's really good to have an employer. But you also have a responsibility as a writer. Make sure you write good papers. Just because you're writing papers for another person's account doesn't mean you should be reckless. Remember, they are depending on you to satisfy their clients. So make sure you give good papers. Make sure, like, you give quality papers that doesn't bring issues to the other person's account. Just because you're working with an employer doesn't mean you go close the accounts. Okay, but ensure that you are good. Ensure that you ask, you check the instructions, you check the plagiarism, and that's all. It's about training, it's about experience, it's about being ready to learn and being ready to put all the efforts that you have. Otherwise, writing can actually be difficult if you don't put the required energy. When you have an employer, you know, it's easy. As long as you're giving the right work, as long as you're submitting the correct and quality work, you are assured of having workflow. Okay, and like when you have some accounts, there are some accounts which even when it's high season, you cannot get as much work as you wish, especially when they are new accounts. So as long as you give as long as you have the right employer, as long as you have a good employer and you're presenting good work, they will always provide you with work. Like for my case, my employer used to give me as much work as even for 3 days, because she trusted me with her work. She always put me before others. I'm not like, I was among the people she would consider, especially in what I used to do, in the subject that I used to do. So make sure you write good papers, not for the sake of the employer, but for your own sake, because it helps you to build a good reputation. It helps you to be it helps you with the employer, gaining your trust, gaining your loyalty, and they are able to understand that this is among my best writer, and so I should consider him or her. Okay, so in case you need to be writing at least 10 pages or even at least 8 pages, because when you most people pay approximately to 50 to 300 words, and in case you say you want to make 2,000 a day or 3,000 a day, for a new writer, that is okay, and that means it's at most 10 pages. Okay, so if you need an employer to provide you with 10 pages, it means you have to be really good at your work, because 10 pages is a lot of work to get cancelled. 10 pages is a lot of work to get revisions and the likes. And so for any employer to be willing to give a writer 10 pages and above, they need to really give a good work. Okay, so before you complain, like, right, there are no good employers. Yes, I know there are no good employers, but you yourself also need to be a good writer. Make sure your work is not plagiarized. Make sure your work is quality. It has the right grammar. It follows all the instruction of the client, and I'm sure your employer will be good, because sometimes writers complain about employers, but sometimes they're actually wrong, because as an employer, do not expect me to pay you when you give me work which is 80% plagiarized, or when you give me work, I call you for revision and you're not there, or I give you work, you make it late and you don't even say anything. Like someone whom last time I gave work, they went missing. To date, they've never talked to me. Imagine, like, I give them some work and they were supposed to deliver by evening and they were not available. So you see, you have to be really good. Put yourself in the shoes of that employer. Ask yourself, if I was the employer, how would I want my writers to do? What kind of work would I expect my writers to give to me? With that, you will really do a good job, because you'll not just do it for them, but even for yourself. Because when the time comes for you to write, to buy an account, you will definitely need some writers to write for you, if you're not be writing for yourself. So you definitely need someone to write for you, and in this case you will need them to write in the right manner. I hope you make a decision right, in case you decide to buy an account, or in case you decide to find an employer. But remember, there are so many con people outside there. And unfortunately, I don't have any criteria on how you can know a good employer, because in my case of myself, I had a really good employer. She's the only person I've ever written for the almost 2 years that I wrote, like, because I continued writing for her even with my own account. So she was really good. And unfortunately, there is no criteria that I can give or characteristics that I can give. I just tell you to be careful. Be careful for those who with those who you write for. In case you find a good employer, be good, be loyal. Always ask questions, ask for clarification to ensure that you present the right papers. So let me know, what do you prefer as a writer? Are you a new writer? What do you prefer? Or in case you're not a new writer, how would you prefer? How would you advise someone? Would you advise them to buy an account worth 50,000 and go and lose it in case they're unable to manage it? Or would you advise them to write for an employer who will help them to go through the to transition through the work, how would you advise them? Let's discuss, let's hear it. So we are here to help one another and not to judge. So until next time, thank you.